Class, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Today's objective is to focus specifically on refugees, which is one type of immigration, one motivation for why immigration happens. Plan for today. First, we will go through some events that have happened over the past week. There is then going to be a refugee video I'd like you to watch that introduces some key terms which I will introduce in this video as well. And then I'm going to give you some refugee data from 2018, and there will be a worksheet for you to complete from that provided data. And that worksheet is due today, 3 p.m., and will be a classwork grade. The quizzes from yesterday were graded. Just a reminder that 1, it was only a classwork grade, and 2, there will be no retakes since it was an open note quiz. So events that have happened over the past week or so, some of them are COVID-19 related, others are not. First, Governor Whitmer announced last week Friday an extension to the stay-at-home order, which was originally scheduled to expire May 1. It has now been extended to May 15. However, there were a few restrictions that were loosened or lifted from before. Things like golfing, motorized boating, going between different residences, opening up of certain businesses like lawn care and gardening and paint. Other services are now able to be in business, but on a curbside delivery, no physical contact basis. So it's not the exact stay-at-home order. There are some restrictions that were loosened, but it is extended until May 15. It does look like Michigan is starting to make its way down the curve, although things will of course be uncertain. You never know, which is why the stay-at-home order is extended. Second thing, it's not specific to COVID-19, but it was influenced by it, like everything. The NFL draft took place over the weekend. It was interesting to watch Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I watched some of it, how everything was done virtually, seeing those that were drafted at their homes celebrating. It was kind of cool to get a different look. It was actually overall pretty impressive for the NFL to get that to go as smoothly as it did, because I'm sure it wasn't easy and took a lot of planning and technological savvy to get it done. Italy and Spain, which were two countries that were some of the hardest hit by this virus, including the United States, but they've shown significant progress. They have reported lowest death totals in a really long time there, which hopefully is a sign of things to come in the United States. We're already seeing some small glimpses of that. It'll be interesting to see how Italy and Spain proceed with opening up their economies and their societies as well. Places like Italy, Spain, China, South Korea, who had this virus spread before we did, are kind of setting an example, and we'll see how much the U.S. follows their template and how much we go a different direction. Obviously, each country has a different circumstance and situation, but hopefully countries can work together to get through this pandemic together. Georgia is one example of a state that has reopened more so than many other states. The governor has received a bit of criticism for this, saying that it's too rash and hurrying too much, but a lot of businesses are reopening, not just as delivery, but being able to go in with certain restrictions, of course. So it'll be interesting to see if there's how much kind of throwback there is to this, and if the pandemic spreads more, or if people are able to do this in a safe way, that'll kind of set a more direct example for other states to follow once that state gets in a position where they can do so. This happened last week, but I didn't include it in last week Monday's video. But in Nova Scotia, which for those who don't know is in Canada, there was a shooting. The person, I just saw an article, apparently had assaulted his girlfriend before, and I think maybe that's what kind of triggered the shooting. But if I remember correctly, 22 people died from that. The shooter himself died in an altercation with police officers up there. That's a sad situation always, yet alone with what's going on around the world right now too. Just to add on to that, primaries took place for the upcoming presidential election in Guam and Kansas, and they're scheduled this week to take place in Ohio. In Ohio, the governor has pledged to make the voting process available through a mail-in ballot, so that way citizens can stay at home and don't have to be outside at risk to getting COVID-19. Otherwise, when it comes to updates, I know that there was a 31-year-old who is a human trial for a possible vaccine. I know other vaccines are within a couple weeks away from seeing how effective they are, and not even just vaccines, but treatments, and not just in the United States, but otherwise too. Otherwise, just kind of stay tuned to see how things are progressing. There's a lot of signs of optimism, but at the same time, there's nothing really immediate about this yet. It looks like we're still kind of stuck in the situation we are in for a little while longer. There will be a video that explains these terms too. That would be good for you to watch. That'll be posted on Google Classroom. But just to introduce a couple of terms related to this idea of immigration from a refugee perspective. A refugee is a person who leaves their country due to the fear of persecution because of their race, religion, nationality, political views, or membership in a different type of social group. So these are people who are fearful of not just being persecuted, but often of being killed based on who they are or what they believe or just what their ideology is. This is similar but different than an internally displaced person. On your data worksheet, it will describe these people as IDPs. So if you see IDP, this is what they're talking about. This is a person who is forcibly uprooted from their country. They have not crossed an international border, so they're like a refugee within their own country. They haven't crossed any borders yet, but they have been forced to leave for their own protection and due to fear of persecution. It's forcible. Right? It's not 100% voluntary. It's something that was forced to happen. Last key term to know is asylum. Asylum is shelter or protection from danger granted by a country to someone who is forced to leave their country. It is the offer of protection and safety because the person's home country was unsafe and they were forced to leave. So refugees will apply for asylum in countries, which gives them the opportunity to stay in a different country since they need protection, but that doesn't necessarily mean they get to stay on a long-term basis, although sometimes there are opportunities for that to happen. So the work I need you to do today is a refugee mapping worksheet. So there will be a video. I'll try to make sure it's unblocked. It's short. It's a little over 2 minutes long that just introduces this idea of refugees and some of the key terms. There is a PDF with data about where these refugees are coming from, where they're going, countries they're applying to. It's a PDF with all that information. And then a Google form worksheet that you will complete from that PDF full of data. This once again is due 3 p.m. today. It is a classwork grade. All of this work is posted right here in the refugee mapping worksheet. I will make sure to post the link to the video. The data is right here. The worksheet is there as well. So there's only work you need to get done. If you have questions about it, please let me know. Otherwise, I will talk to you more tomorrow.